Roman Reigns just made the biggest mistake of his entire career. And Seth freaking Rollins walked right into that backstage hallway on Raw and looked the tribal chief dead in his eyes. No flinching, no backing down. And what happened next? It changed everything. The Usos were there. The tension was suffocating. And the so-called vision that Roman has been preaching about for years, the one he's used to control, manipulate, and dominate every single person in that locker room, is now crumbling from the inside. Drop a in the comments right now if you knew this was coming, because I called it. And if you haven't subscribed to Ring Rumble 1 yet, you're going to want to after this. Scene setter, build the tension. Let's paint the picture, because context is everything here. Raw is live. The arena is electric. And somewhere in the bowels of that arena, past the production trucks, past the catering tables, past the nervous rookies trying not to make eye contact with anyone, Roman Reigns is holding court. He always is. That's what the tribal chief does. He doesn't come to you. You come to him. He sits on his throne, surrounded by his bloodline, and he dictates. Except tonight, something is different. Tonight, Seth Rollins doesn't wait to be summoned. Seth Rollins comes looking for Roman Reigns. Now, before we even get into what was said, what was done, and what it means for the future of WWE, I need you to understand just how significant this is on a psychological level. Because this isn't just two superstars bumping into each other in a hallway. This is a statement. Seth walking into Roman's space, on Roman's show, with Roman's cousin standing right there, that takes a level of audacity that almost nobody in that locker room possesses. Almost nobody dares. Seth Rollins dares. Seth Rollins always dares. And Roman Reigns knows it. That's exactly why this scares him more than he'll ever admit. The backstage encounter, break it down. So here's how it goes down. The cameras catch it, and trust me, in WWE, the cameras always catch it eventually. Seth Rollins rounding that corner backstage, head up, chin forward, that maniacal grin already spreading across his face. He's wearing his gear. He's already been in that ring tonight. He's still got sweat on him, but he doesn't care. He spots Roman and the Usos, Jimmy and G, both flanking Roman like they always do, arms crossed, mean-mugging everything with a heartbeat, and Seth doesn't slow down. He speeds up. Roman sees him coming. And here's the detail that matters most: Roman doesn't move. The tribal chief plants his feet, crosses his arms, and lets Seth come to him. Because that's the power play, right? That's Roman's game. Let people come to you. Let them feel like they're on your turf. Let them feel small before they even open their mouth. But Seth Rollins? He walks right up into that space and grins like he owns every square inch of it. You know why I'm here, Seth says. No preamble. No pleasantries. And Roman, cool, calculated, insufferable Roman, just tilts his head. That slow, deliberate head tilt that he does when he wants you to know he's thinking 3 steps ahead of you. Do I? Roman replies. Quiet. Almost bored. And that's when the temperature drops about 40 degrees in that hallway. The USOS, the wild card nobody's talking about. Now here is where I need you to pay attention, because this is the part that everyone on Twitter and Reddit is glossing over, and it is the part that matters the most. The Usos are standing right there. Jimmy and G. And here's the thing, these are not the same Usos from 2 years ago. The cracks in the bloodline have been well documented. We've seen GUSO torn apart emotionally on national television. We've seen him choose his brother over his cousin. We've seen him leave. We've seen him come back. The relationship between the Usos and Roman Reigns is complicated in ways that WWE has barely scratched the surface of. So when Seth Rollins walks up and starts talking, starts laying out this challenge, this accusation, this indictment of Roman's leadership, the camera doesn't just stay on Seth and Roman. It cuts to the Usos. And what do you see on their faces? Not loyalty. Not rage. Not the typical twin intensity you'd expect. You see something far more dangerous. You see hesitation. GUSO, and I want you to really let this sink in. GUSO glances at Jimmy. Just for half a second. Just a flicker. But it's there. And in pro wrestling, in this storyline, a half-second glance between the Usos means everything. Seth Rollins catches it too. You can see it in his eyes. That lunatic grin gets just a little bit wider. Because Seth is smart. Seth is maybe the smartest in-ring tactician in the history of this company, and he understands that the strongest chains are the ones people choose to wear. And right now, the Usos are starting to question whether they want to keep wearing theirs. The plan, what Seth is really doing. Let's talk about what Seth Rollins is actually engineering here, because this isn't a random confrontation. This isn't Seth just going rogue with his emotions. This is calculated. This is chess when everyone else is playing checkers. Seth knows he can't beat Roman in a straight power struggle. Roman has too many pieces on the board. Roman has Paul Heyman. Roman has the bloodline mythology. Roman has the psychological upper hand over half the roster. You go after Roman Reigns head on and you get buried under the weight of a story that's been building for years. So Seth doesn't go head on. Seth goes for the foundation. See, the Vision Roman's grand narrative about the bloodline, about Samoan pride, about family above everything. The vision only works if everyone around Roman believes in it. The moment someone inside that inner circle starts to doubt, starts to question, starts to wonder if Roman's version of family is really just Roman's version of control, the whole thing starts to unravel. Seth Rollins just pulled that first thread. That backstage meeting isn't Seth coming to fight Roman. It's Seth coming to plant a seed of doubt. A seed of what are you really doing here, G? What are you getting out of this, Jimmy? Seth doesn't need to say those words out loud. The implication hangs in the air like smoke, and Roman feels it. I promise you Roman Reigns feels it, because the one thing that tribal chiefs throughout history have always feared isn't an outside enemy. It's the revolt from within. The vision is crumbling. Here's the evidence. Now let me give you the receipts. Because some of y'all in the comments are going to say I'm reaching, and I need to shut that down immediately. The Vision Roman's stated goal of unifying the WWE Universe under the Bloodline's dominance has been systematically dismantled piece by piece over the last several months. First, Sami Zayn. Remember Sami? Honorary Us? The man who wormed his way so deeply into the Bloodline that Roman genuinely seemed to trust him, and then Sami chose Kevin Owens over the family. That was the first major crack. Roman's judgment failed him. He let someone in, and that someone had a conscience. Then G's defiance. Then Solo Siko's growing ambition. Then the whispers about whether Paul Heyman is truly loyal to Roman or loyal to whoever holds the most power. Every single pillar of the vision has been stress tested, and some of them have already buckled. And now, Seth Rollins shows up backstage and has a direct conversation, a private conversation with Roman and the Usos, in a moment that Roman did not control and did not orchestrate. That matters enormously. Because Roman's power comes from controlling the narrative. He controls what gets said, what gets shown, what gets acknowledged. The moment Seth breaks into that bubble and forces a real, raw, unscripted, at least in kayfabe, confrontation, Roman loses a little bit of that control. Drop in the comments if you think Roman's era is finally coming to an end. I want to see what this community thinks. What happens next? The prediction zone. Alright, Ring Rumble Nation, this is where we get into the speculation, and you know this is my favorite part. Here is what I think happens next, and I want you to screenshot this and come back to this video when it plays out exactly the way I'm calling it. Prediction 1: GUSO is the key. Seth's little seed of doubt is going to grow in G's mind over the coming weeks. We're going to see G start making micro-choices, small moments of hesitation, a tag that comes a second too late, a look that lingers too long that will eventually boil over into a full-blown confrontation with Roman. Seth Rollins is going to be the catalyst for G's next chapter, whether G wants to admit it or not. Prediction 2: Roman and Seth are on a collision course for a match that is bigger than any championship. This isn't about a title. This is personal. This is about two men who have defined an era of WWE, who have histories and scars together, who respect and despise each other in equal measure, meeting one final time to determine who really controls the future of this company's main event scene. When that match happens, it will be one for the ages. Prediction 3: Paul Heyman plays both sides. Watch Heyman carefully over the next few weeks. The special counsel always survives. Always. And if Roman's ship is sinking, Heyman will have already bought a lifeboat with Seth Rollins' name on it. I'm not saying Heyman turns on Roman tomorrow. I'm saying Heyman is already making calculations that Roman doesn't know about. Because that's what Paul Heyman does. He survives. Closer the call to action. Here's the bottom line, and I want every single person watching this video to really hear me on this. What Seth Rollins did backstage on Raw was not a moment. It was a movement. It was the first visible strike in a war that has been building underneath the surface of WWE programming for months. Roman Reigns built his vision on loyalty, on family, on the idea that the bloodline was unbreakable. Seth Rollins just walked backstage, looked the tribal chief in the eyes, glanced at the Usos and smiled. Because Seth knows something that Roman doesn't want to admit. The vision isn't unbreakable. It never was. And now everyone in that locker room knows it too. This is Ring Rumble 1. If you are not subscribed, smash that button right now because we break down every single moment that the mainstream wrestling shows don't have the guts to dig into. Hit that like button if this video fired you up. Share it with your wrestling friends, especially the ones who still think Roman's vision is bulletproof, and let's have a real conversation in the comments. Tell me, is Seth Rollins the man to finally end the tribal chief's reign? Or is Roman Reigns still 10 steps ahead of everybody? Sound off. I read every comment. This is Ring Rumble 1 and we are just getting started.